Every now and then in the miniature painting hobby, you discover something that changes everything. Whether it's a paint or a style or a way of painting or even just a color that you fall in love with, it changes everything. And that has happened to me over the last few weeks. So let's talk about it. If you've been paying attention to my channel at all over the last couple weeks, you would know that I am in the process of painting my first Warmachine army. I am painting a Signar Gravediggers army, and I'm having a blast. I have been enjoying it. I'm not trying to do it super fast because honestly, I don't have the time to do that, and I'm sure most of you don't either. If you do, sweet, power to you. I do not. Okay. And so I've been painting things kind of little by little. I've been trying to get rid of the big things first, which is why I painted my Warjacks first. And then I moved on from my Warjacks to, just individual units. And to start off that process, I wanted to paint my Warcaster first. And if you've been listening at all or know anything about Warmachine, your Warcaster is the commander of your army and the most important unit that you have, because if they die, game's over. You lose. Okay, which is a mechanic of Warmachine that I absolutely love. And every army has 6-7 different Warcasters that you can pick up from that basically changes how your whole army works. I keep thinking it's a lot like playing Commander in Magic the Gathering, right? Because you have your commander, like literally, and your whole deck is built around them. And it's the same with Warmachine. Your whole army is built around that person's abilities and what they do. And it alters basically how you play everyone. And so anyway, I love that. And for my army, I have picked two. I got two different ones. I've got Vargas, who I showed off a while back, and I have Commander Jakes. I think it's important to point out that this is the first army, this is the first big thing that I have set out to paint using actual hobby brand paints. I've been using your 50-cent paints for the last couple of years, and I am now using P3 paints. And the first thing that I want to talk about, this paint that has just changed everything, is that I can paint with this through my airbrush and not have it jam up on me constantly. And for some of you, that's probably not a big deal, but for me, that is a huge deal because I have spent hours and hours dealing with an airbrush and just kept thinking it's something that I'm doing that's wrong, or it's the airbrush isn't good enough, because it's not a $100 Iwata or whatever airbrush. And I just kept thinking it's my fault. And then I started using these P3 paints through the airbrush, and guess what? I was mixing colors. I was doing highlights. I was changing everything on the fly, and the whole time I didn't have it jam up on me once. And when you're painting an army and you're changing colors a lot, that the number one reason people don't airbrush is because it takes so long. And so if you can take that step out, it makes everything better. And I wanted to show this off to you today in this video. And of course, I mixed my paint, I get everything ready, and I didn't check my airbrush before I started, and it had a clog from the last time that I apparently didn't clean out properly. And so, right off the bat, I was like, everyone's going to see this and think, man, he's right, it's good. And it is. I'm just an idiot. So, after painting these things with a really splotchy airbrush, which you can still do, especially if you're base coating, who cares, right? I went back and decided, I still have some other stuff that I wanted to try it out on. And I have these miniatures from the War Crow adventure game. And this big boy was fun. And I wanted to airbrush him because bigger models, they just take longer. And I thought, this guy's going to be a bloody gross demon thing. Let's just get some red paint on him. And I did lowlights, I did highlights, all with the airbrush, all going with these P3 paints. And it was smooth as butter and a really great process. And then of course, once I was done with the airbrush and I cleaned it properly this time so I don't have to deal with that mess next time, I moved on to just painting Allison Jakes, painting my Warcaster, because I wanted to get that done this week. I wanted to get that one figure done, and a couple other things just kind of stuck out to me with these P3 paints that I love. I live in Utah. It's crazy dry here all the time. If you don't use a wet palette, your paints are dry in a minute or two. So you got to use a wet palette, and even then, paints dry on the brush so quickly that it's really hard to do certain brush skills. I have always wanted to do a cape with like the texture, the lines, from the fabric of the cape. And I thought, I'm going to try that. These paints seem to stay on the brush a little longer. Let's give it a shot. And I did it. And it worked. And it's the coolest cape that I've ever made. And I know it's not perfect. And I know it's not, the best cape out there, but it's the best one I've ever done. And it was so easy. Okay, and then the last thing I want to say about the P3 paints is, if you're like me, you struggle with metallics. Metallics are everyone's favorite thing to paint, and they look good if they're done right, but so many paints screw them up. And I've tried probably 5 or 6 different brands of paint when it comes to metallics. And I've tried some good ones, I've tried some bad ones. And of all of those, the P3 ones are my favorite. Just going straight onto black. I wasn't dry brushing. I wasn't doing anything. I was just brush onto black primed miniature for this dwarven armor. For Warcraft. And it goes on in one coat and it looks fantastic. And you can hit it again a little later if you want it to be more shiny, more brilliant. And it just went on like a dream. And I didn't have to struggle with it. I didn't have to fight it. It just painted great in one coat. 2 coats makes it perfect. And I am just shocked with how good the coverage was for it. And I just feel like I need to get my hands on some more of these P3 metallics. Which, it's a great time, right? Because right now, P3 is doing a second Kickstarter for another range of their P3 paints. And these aren't the original ones. These are like newer ones. They include more metallics, more colors. They have spray bottles for base coating or priming your miniatures and things like that. It's a really cool, I shouldn't say Kickstarter because it's a game found, and I'll put a link to it down below. But P3 paints have changed the way that I paint now. I feel like I no longer have an excuse to not try everything that I have seen other content creators try. And so I'm going to. I got fur, I got capes, I got boots, I got leather, I got all sorts of cool things that I want to try. Putting those intricate tiny details that make the paint jobs come alive. And so now I'm going to attempt to do those because P3 made that possible. Is it the best paint range out there? I don't know. It's the only one I've tried. But with how good it is right now, I have no desire to go out and buy anything else because it's working fantastic. So if you've tried P3 or you have another paint that's your favorite, tell me about it below. Let me know which one it is. I know I need to try those oil paints, and I will. And I'm actually looking forward to trying oil paints because I feel like it's just another step in the process of becoming a better painter. But I'm not there yet. Let me get used to these guys for a year or two, and then I'll jump into the oil paints. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about paints. What do you think? I know the market is just full of them right now. Does P3 stand out? And if it doesn't, which paint does in your mind? Because I'm always open to finding out. I want my tabletop to look the best that it can be, and if there are certain skills that are easier with other lines of paint, I'd love to know why or how. Because if it's something I try further on down the road and it doesn't work with the P3, it'd be cool to know why. So drop it in the comments below. As always, please like, subscribe, keep our channel going, get this video out to as many people as can see it, and we'll just keep growing, keep painting, and hopefully will help your experience be a little bit better. So, as always, don't spend so much time building your world, especially painting it, that you forget to spend some time in it. Until next time.